welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Ral, and this week I wanted to show you a race car. I don't do a whole lot of race cars, mostly factory stock muscle, but here's one I've had a very long time, and it took me a really long time to actually build. So a little bit on the backstory. This goes back to when I had a paper route. From the ages of 13, as soon as my mom would let me have a paper route, to the age of 16, which for me was I have to think of the timeline, probably like 87 to 89, right around there. But I rode my bicycle up to the local mall, which is about 5 miles away, and I went to Hobby Bench and I bought this model kit with my paper route money. Mom would probably kill me if she found out I rode my bike 5 miles to go get it. But I've made that trip 3 different times. I actually picked this one up, and another time I picked up the Johan 70 Superbird, the Sox and Martin Superbird kit. I picked that one up as well. And then I picked up the only other Johan that they had was the 64 Dodge Superstock Racer, and with the intentions of building them, of course. And this one I had started the typical, start with the engine, paint the engine, and a few things. And I had some issues where things just didn't quite fit, and my skills were not there. And even just removing the parts, the brittle plastic that they used, I remember I broke a rear wheel right at the rim. I know I lost a front wheel. I remember losing a carburetor, and this thing just ended up sitting in the box. Never painted it. It was a weird orange color, and the decals were kind of not all that great. And I just remember really intimidated by this one, and I just decided that Johan kits, they just weren't for me. But I never got rid of it. It just sat in my closet, and I never built it. Well, it was about 7-8 years ago I decided, maybe I ought to build it. And the paint job really intrigued me, and I wanted to give it a shot. So, I picked up some Slicks decals. That's what decals are actually on it. These are Slicks decals. So I picked them up and got to working on the body and painting the body and doing it, the way they did, looking at some photos and trying to make it as accurate as possible and reading about the car. I remember cutting those open. I don't believe they're not molded open, but the real car, they were there, and just trying to find some of the parts. I did find out that Model Haas sold these wheels resin, so I bought a set of wheels from Model Haas to get the missing wheels, and I ended up stumbling upon another built one for parts, so I got my carburetor that way. That's just and I think that was the only other part I was missing, or somebody had helped me with it. But some of the other details I did add. I added photo etched hood pins to the hood and the trunk, because the real race car had a fiberglass trunk. And I ended up painting this one. This is it's clear coated, but it's just Testors clear in the jar. I airbrushed it on, and I built it up pretty nice. I detailed the chassis a little bit, just blacked it out. Engine block is blue. It's actually supposed to be blue. I know you're used to seeing Hemi engines in orange, and I did wire this one. It's a dual plug Hemi, which is one of the features of the 71 car. There were a number of tricks that were employed by Sox and Martin on this car, so it was fun reading about some of those issues. They did cutting up the body, and one of the things I read was they moved the front wheels forward 2 inches, moved the whole cross member up, which is why the firewall and engine compartment are all fairly smooth. But they moved a few things around, and they also moved the rear wheels forward, because I guess at the time the race, they just checked the wheelbase. They didn't check if you move the front, if you move the rear. And they did a few things like that, which is why it was one of the most winningest race cars at the time. So it was fun to research and read about some of the things they supposedly did. Another story was they made sure not to park it next to any other Cudas at the racetrack, because they didn't want any of the alterations to be noticeable when you compared a more stock one next to it. But so eventually I did build this one, as you can see here, of course, and had a good time doing it. I didn't really do anything to the interior on it. I think I added the roll bar. I don't remember if it's a kit issued roll bar, if it's one I added. And then of course the seats, and it's all the race car stuff, but built it as the race car, and thoroughly enjoyed building this one, and real happy with it. And it goes along nice with the other one. Since I had one for parts, I had to do a 70 version. So there's the 70 sitting right next to it. So I did the two. That's also a Johan kit. Restored. This one was actually built. I modified the roll bar, made it more like the 70s car. And then the grill and the hood are resin pieces, along with the whole tail panel. It's resin pieces. They're from Reliable Resin. Bought them many years ago. So that's where they came from. And then also got photo etch hood pins on this one, and did the Hemi. But I didn't wire this one. I left this one alone. But they look great together, and just showing them off here. And real happy with the way these came out, and I think you would enjoy them too. So I figured I would show a race car or two, and eventually I'll get some more of the Sox and Martin builds done. I have a couple more in my stash as well. But so I'm just showing these off to you, and just want to see what comments and what you guys think of these. So I appreciate you tuning in and listening to me ramble on and watch some of the models I build and enjoy what I do. And so I appreciate you tuning in and subscribing. Thank you again, and you have a wonderful day.